welcome to my channel. It's so nice to see you all here. So, today we are going to paint a mountainscape which I like to call the Horizon Mountains. If you like the video, do not forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, and ring the bell so that whenever I upload a tutorial, you will get instantly notified. So, without much further delay, let's get to work.
Welcome to the voiceover, guys. So here I'm just starting off with a flat brush, my palette, and putting in some gray area. So here I'm currently using Camel watercolor cakes, and I'm just using flat brush to put in some water on the cakes and just pick up some pigment and put it on the sky. So the top region would be our sky, and then from around you could say from 3/4 of the paper would be our mountains. So I don't want the sky to be completely blue. That looks very unnatural. So I'm just shading in some gray regions and then I will be mixing it with blue regions. So here I'm using crisscross motions and then I am just blending it in with using circular motions. So once I put in the gray, I will eventually be blending out the gray. Sorry, once I put in the blue, I will eventually be blending out the blue and the gray regions so that we can have the sky looking more normal. If I just put a complete blue sky, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't look, natural in any way possible. So here I'm done with the gray and I'm starting over the blue. For the blue, I'm just using some diagonal motions, just diagonal strokes. You can use any stroke, it really doesn't matter because this is just the first layer. There's going to be at least 2 to 3 layers in the sky I will be covering up and then painting over the gray regions and on the other side. So you don't have to worry if you feel that your strokes are showing or if it's like, you don't like the color right now, it's dark or it's light, it's okay. We're going to go over it again. Generally, in watercolor, you should go from light to dark. So, because it's difficult to come back from dark to light. In acrylics and in poster colors, you can paint on black. Watercolor, that's not really the case. So here I have put in some blue and now I've blended the blue as you can see on the sides and now I'm putting it on the bottom region of the sky and I'm blending it with up with the gray and just leaving it fading it out on the top. Here I'm using a round brush to put in some clouds just with some circular motions. So trust me, this painting is not tough at all. It's a very, very simple painting. And here I'm using putting a small cloud which is like just seeped into your picture from the side and a tiny cloud at the bottom, and I'm just covering up that gray region now. This small cloud would eventually be converted into a gray cloud, so you don't have to worry about it. Even if it doesn't show much right now, it's okay. The main thing about painting is that you paint what you like, and at the end you don't have to worry. As long as you like your painting and you're satisfied with what you've done, there's no right or wrong in art. So here I've put in some more blue, I've blended in the sky with the gray, and the gray looks a little bit more gray, so I have put in a little bit more blue on the side. Here I was basically analyzing my painting. And now I put some more gray, and I'm covering up the sides. As you can see, my paper is buckling a little bit. It's like 120 GSM art book paper. It's not really a watercolor paper, but it works pretty well. Even though it buckles, at the end once the painting is done and it's dry, it automatically straightens out. It's not like a printer paper. And here I'm going with a palette knife, and these are my watercolor cakes. It's from Camel 24 Shades Watercolor. And I am going to start with the mountains now, the most interesting part. And this is my round brush. I don't know why I have shown it twice. Picked up some color on it and I'm putting it on my palette knife. Now, since this is the first project I'm doing, which is on mountains, and I'm using the palette knife for the first time, you can see it's not picking up the paint very well right now. So I tried to put in more paint and then eventually I realized it's just not going to pick up. So I'm dabbing in that paint and I tried to take it on the side, but it didn't work. The paint was absorbed. So I'm just trying to make the outlines of a mountain here. I've used a reference picture, but I've not really gone according to it. It's more like, just to see the shapes, not really the colors. So for this, I have gone in with a round brush and I'm just putting in the outlines of the mountain because that is what I want to look natural. And if I just draw a mountain without a reference picture, I most likely will be drawing something, which is like very, very geometrical. And I'm pretty sure mountains are not geometrical. They formed over the ages, they took such long time to form. They'll have jagged edges, they will have cliffs. I'll miss out on that if I don't use a reference picture. It's actually a really good idea to use a reference picture and then put your own imagination to it so that what you create is unique. It's not same as a reference picture, and it has your thoughts and your feelings into it. And here I am using my dropper. You should definitely have a dropper if you're working with watercolors. It's a very good medium to add water in, and then you can just dilute your paint and it becomes so easy. So I'm going to pick up some black paint right now and I'm just going to dilute it into the water, and you see that's how the color looks. But when you put it, it's a little bit grayish, and when it dries it becomes a little more lighter, like a shade or two lighter than what you see right now. So here I am just covering up the base regions of the mountain, and that is our mountain which is behind. That's done. Now we move on to that small region and then we go on to cover the big mountain, which is the main mountain. Here, don't really worry about the strokes. It's all right if you use a horizontal stroke, a vertical stroke, a diagonal stroke, because eventually we will be using palette knife and cover up this whole region. At the end, it wouldn't be looking the way it's looking right now. So you really don't have to worry. See, some places I'm using a straight vertical stroke, some places I'm using a horizontal stroke, and some places I'm using a diagonal stroke. And if you see on the sides, you'll find sellotape. It's a normal sellotape which you get from any stationery shop. I did not bother to go in with a masking tape or with a washi tape because this works pretty fine actually. You take the tape, you take a strip of it, and then you put it on your clothes. With masking tape, also, this problem arises that when you peel it off, sometimes the paper might tear. So, even for masking tape, people suggest that you put it on your clothes. Like for masking tape, you will have to, put in a little bit less energy and just maybe twice or thrice. If you put it on your clothes, it's okay. But with this cello tape, normal ones, you have to really rub it on your clothes. That picks up enough lint, and when you pull it out later, it comes off easily. So you see, I have highlighted that particular cloud and I'm covering up the sky wherever I feel I missed out on. So you can use either, you can just cover up half the canvas with blue, then start off with making the mountain. So if you don't want to work on the sky, I like to allow the paint to dry, see where it is, what stage it is at, and then go in and work again. If you're using acrylics, you might just, block in the sky first, then go on to the mountains. It's okay if the watercolor seeps into the mountain because anyways we will be, there's a lot more to do on the mountain. This is just the first step. So here I'm covering up the sky wherever I'm feeling that it needs a little bit more pigment. I'm adding it, blending it out. And now you see that gray region, it looks so much more natural than before when it was just gray. And one side the sky is a little bit light, one side it's a little bit dark. It's all a game of pigments basically. And now I'm using my poster colors and I've used red, brown, and yellow to make a brown. And I'm using this old useless brush to just pick up the paint, put it on the palette knife, and then start shaping the mountain. So here I'm using palette knife to put in the paint, brown. You actually need a lot of the brown paint and you can do so much with that brown paint. So don't worry if you feel you've mixed too much of poster colors, it's all right. You really don't have to worry because there's a lot of paper to cover. And you can add a little bit more red to make it a little bit more reddish, which I have done over here. Or you can add more black to make it darker and give shades to the different regions of the mountain. It's all up on you. There's nothing wrong. And this easel which you're seeing on the bottom, Brewstro, it's a tabletop easel. I absolutely love this easel. It's so nice to work on. I'm sorry, I tried to not get my face in the frame, but you see, the camera was behind me and I couldn't really check it every time I would move. So, pardon me, and if you have any comments on how I could improve my content, or I know the lighting conditions here are not great on the first day, but it definitely improved in the second day because first day there was a little bit of less of light, and when I reviewed the video, I realized, oh my god, I could have done better. So, I'm sorry for that. Really sorry. So here I'm just putting up a darker shade of brown on the side and covering up with the palette knife. You see, with a palette knife, had you done this with a brush, it would look like you've just colored the mountain. Palette knife is what gives it texture. And texture is so, so important when you're painting nature. So here I'm just using my palette knife and going in with the colors and just putting them. And here I realize wherever I have missed out on the canvas there, I am using a brush to just cover up that region. I'm using the brush to put the paint on the palette knife and then just using the palette knife to cover up the paper. And now I realize that maybe using canvas knife would take too much of time, so I used my brush to fill in the background and then use palette knife to bring in the texture. You can use it either ways. See, brush doesn't give you the texture. Texture you will always get from the palette knife. So there. At the lower side where it becomes difficult to use the palette knife, you can always, turn your paper upside down and then start working. I did not realize that was an option available right now, so eventually in the video you'll see that I've turned the paper upside down so many times to cover up the lower regions. Here I'm going in with a lighter shade of brown on the left side of the mountains, and on the right side it's darker. See, I finally realized this is a much better way to paint. Actually, this is my first time painting a mountain, so I did not have a lot of experience to begin with. But I still wanted to take you on this journey because you learn from your mistakes. If you don't commit mistakes, you'll never learn, and you learn from others' mistakes too. So that is why I've put up everything which need not be done. So I put it upside down and then back again. Now I'm covering it up with the brush and then palette knife and then again brush and palette knife. And you see those white regions in the center. You see the dark and the light regions of the mountain. That is what makes it look so worn out and old and majestic. And I'm pretty sure that texture and that feel when you look at the mountain like this would not come if you just use a paintbrush to paint on it. So I'm adding in the mountain and I'm making the mountain go diagonal, the back mountain. And I'm covering up the old mountain which was there before. You can always make changes as per how you want it. This is actually the second day, and as you can see, the lighting conditions have improved much compared to the previous day. And the shirt which I'm wearing, that was black and it got white paint like all over it when I started painting the snow peaks. It was disheartening, but the end result was worth it. So I'm going in with the palette knife again, putting in like basically different shades of brown. I'm not using the same shade everywhere or even in the same mountain. I'm differing the shades. So what I did was I was always mixing little bit of the paint, not in maximum amounts, because if I paint in maximum amounts, if I want a change in texture or a change in the color, I'll have to go in with a different paint. So I mixed small amounts, used them, mixed again, used them. And I also used a around a 1 inch hog brush to just blend out the colors at some places. You will see it coming soon. And now I have put in another mountain which is basically black, like really dark brown. Here it looks black, but eventually when the painting is finished, because the brown, which is already behind when I was painting, it looks more like, black and brown. And see, you see that hog brush I'm using? It's just there to blend in the color when it's wet so that it gives a more natural look. I love mountains. They're just so nice. If you're trying out this video along with me, do let me know how it comes out. I love, love, love to see your pictures. Usually, the bottom is always easier to paint when the thing is upside down. This one almost took me 6 to 8 hours to paint, I think. It was more like, it's like a long process instead of having a lot of work in it. Like, technicalities were not there much, but it was a pretty long painting to paint. But I'm happy with it. So I'm putting in the borders with this paintbrush so that you can differentiate that these are two different mountains and not think that they're the same mountains. And when you put in watercolors, they are usually dark when wet and they become light when they are dry. So if you're worrying that, oh my god, it's too dark, it's not the real color. Let it dry and you'll know the real color. Now I'm mixing the colors again and I'm putting in white. Since these were snow covered mountains, I'm putting in the snow from the top. It's like the snow has melted from some regions and it's still melting from some regions, like that. Generally, palette knife is not used with watercolors, but the texture which the palette knife gave was amazing, simply amazing. I also tried to use a fan brush. You will see it comes like in like a minute or so. I tried, yeah, see that I used a fan brush, but yeah, definitely the effect was not worth it. It was so much better with the palette knife. So that's what. If you're painting mountains, don't try to use fan brush. Use a simple brush to paint the borders, and then use a palette knife. And this is almost the finished part, and this is how it looks like. So if you liked it, please give it a like. like it, do hit the like button, the subscribe button, and do not forget to ring the bell. Also, send me your pictures, please, if you paint it. If you follow this painting, send me your pictures. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. See you next video. Thank you.